What's up guys, I'm Adrian Thompson and welcome back to the channel. I may have mentioned this before in a previous video, but in college I actually started two companies. One was a phone case company called plate.O, and then the second was a clothing company called Suri Threads. And this video is about how and why both of those companies failed, and therefore why I failed as an entrepreneur. You see, in college, I was pre-med, and I knew that if I decided at any point not to go to med school, that I would need something business related to fall back on. So that is why I actually started these two companies. My college actually offered a $5,000 entrepreneurship scholarship if you had a company and you started it while at college. So I actually gained $20,000 of scholarship money just from starting these two companies. Nonetheless, the reason why I started these two companies was just in case I didn't go to med school. And right now, looking back, I'm glad I did that. So today I actually want to go through and take a deep dive into each company, why they failed, and what I learned coming out of both of those experiences. So the first company that I started was called plate.O. In 2014, the landscape was completely different. The iPhone 6 just came out. Amazon FBA was nowhere like it is today, so there weren't a lot of products online that you could just buy and put on your iPhone 6. One of my friends from college actually had a phone case company, and he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling carbon fiber phone cases. And in my head, I was like, if he can do it, I should be able to do it too. My best friend and I decided to make plate.O, a phone case company that had a bumper and backplate design. This was something at the time that was very uncommon. Now, if you go through, you can see our idea come into fruition in other companies. But we decided to have a bumper and backplate design. And the concept was that you have a protective bumper and the backplate can be representing a sports team, representing a favorite picture of yours, or even a business card that you could update your backplate with. Like I said before, it seems like we were onto something because a lot of companies either came out with something of a similar concept, but there's definitely bumper and backplate style phone cases existing today. Now that being said, starting this phone case company, even though it did end up as what I would consider a failure, it taught me more starting that company than I could have dreamed of. I gained experience in how to make an LLC, why you should make an LLC. I definitely gained experience with talking to manufacturers at early morning hours, like 1 or 2 o'clock, because we were dealing with China. And without a doubt, I gained experience with business taxes. That was about 3 months of my life in college that I'll never get back. Something that this experience taught me is that I learned more about business than my friends who were majoring in this topic, because I was forced to know it and genuinely understand what I was talking about, so I didn't come off like an idiot in pitch meetings or to investors or to just general marketing of the product. So in order to get money to start this company, we actually gained funds in 2 different ways. The first was launching a crowdfunding campaign on both Indiegogo and Kickstarter, which was honestly relatively successful. We got roughly $4,000 from that. We actually got funds and free lawyer fees through a Shark Tank style pitch competition that we came in 2nd place in my freshman year in college. So shockingly, we sold just enough phone cases to break even with the initial investment that we made with that crowdfunding money as well as the pitch competition money. However, we knew we didn't want to keep updating a phone case, and the iPhone 6 was different than the iPhone 7 and 8 and now the 10 and 11. Looking back, I'm really glad we decided to pivot. So what we decided to do was take those few $1,000s that we've made from that phone case company and put it into my second company, which is called Suri Threads. So like I mentioned before, the mid 2010s was a completely different landscape than what we're dealing with now. Patreon was nowhere near as big as it is now. And there wasn't really a place for an independent creator to go to and find a way to get funding for their independent projects. So that was where Suri Threads came in. Not only were we a clothing brand for the creators and by the creators, we gave generously 50% of our profits back to the people who sold our clothes. The concept was that as an independent creator, you can push and sell our products, and that's going to actually fund you or get you money to buy a camera so you can start producing content, or get you money so you can do what you love doing for a living. I actually just found one of our old promo videos. This is very early on in the days when we got our first 3 samples. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. Let me know what you think, because I kind of liked Suri Threads a lot when we were running it. Let's play it.
Where you left me tangled up, now it's new in your shirt that you gave me half asleep, wishing I
So that unique business structure of giving 50% of the profits back to the creators sounded good in our head. And that was the first mistake that we actually learned, was that is not a good business structure in order to run a business, and definitely not a good business structure giving away half of your profit. The reason why it failed was, in order for us to actually rationalize giving 50% of the profits back to the creators, it forced us to overprice the shirts to $60. And in reality, looking back, we would have launched the shirts anywhere between $19.99 to $24.99. But at the time, $60 sounded intelligent to us. There were other more popular brands pushing that price point, but it failed. And one of the reasons for that was the price. And because of that price point, we were only able to sell 100 units of the 500 units that was a part of our minimum order that we initially put in. So not only did we put our money in from plate.O, that initial phone case company, to start this company, we also had to take a $6,000 business loan out in order to fund getting the shirts. Since we sold a lot of those 100 units at a dramatically discounted price, we actually only revenued about $2,000 from selling those units. So that loan actually stayed with me after college. I had to use my hard-earned money from my actual job in order to pay back that $6,000. Now, personally, I still knew that was a risk, and I knew that going into it, and I was perfectly fine with it because, like I mentioned before, I did get $20,000 of scholarship money that would have otherwise been student loans. So at the end of the day, personally, I came out net positive and net ahead because of the fact that I got that scholarship money. But nonetheless, both of these businesses failed in the sense of becoming profitable. And honestly, I'm perfectly okay with that. That is perfectly fine. As an entrepreneur, you need to know and not be afraid that you are going to fail. Like, you are going to fall short. There's going to be a goal that you don't hit. There's going to be a milestone that you never reach. And there's going to be steps that you trip going up. And like I said, that is okay, but here is what is not okay. It is not okay to be afraid of taking risk. It's also not okay to learn from the mistakes. Launching Suri Threads was significantly easier than launching plate.O. There are some similarities between a phone case company and the clothing company in terms of what you have to do logistically to start it up. I was able to do in a week with Suri Threads what took me roughly 3 months with plate.O. I was able to grow as an entrepreneur or as a startup investor solely because I did it. And if I was afraid of starting plate.O, I wouldn't have been good at starting Suri Threads, right? And yes, they both failed, but now I've learned from both of those companies. So the next one I try to go into, I will be that much better at it. And something else to keep in mind is the camera skills that I use in order to promote plate.O and Suri Threads, I use for this YouTube channel. Some of the gear that I use in order to promote and market Suri Threads and plate.O, I also use for this YouTube channel. And the number one thing to keep in mind is the reason why I was able to get my initial job out of college, which has led to where I'm at today, was because I started these businesses. And although I failed, that does not mean that I'm a failure at life. These two companies are just simply another example of an obstacle that came my way that I had to overcome and adapt to. So if you can take anything away from this video, anything at all, what it is don't be afraid to take risk, and definitely don't be afraid to fail. A lot of people that dream life that they have, they cannot get to it without taking proper risk. And they definitely can't get to it if they're afraid of what their friends are going to say about them, or if they're afraid of not being perfect 100% of the time, because you won't be, and that's perfectly fine. So that's really all I have today. If you guys like this video, if you like this style of video, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help out. But that being said, remember, it may be hard now, but it doesn't always have to be. I'll see you in the next one.